This is Patrick McCarthy reporting with Tri-Cities Community Television. We're back in our Lee Square studios in Port Coquitlam. Today we have the artist in residence. That's now the artist or literary artist within the city of Port Coquitlam, Jennifer Pownall. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
So I guess I just saw you a couple minutes ago. You had a whole bunch of kids. You're teaching them in your Sunday workshop, which was free. Just so people know, it's free, so that's important. But the key thing is artist in residence. What does it mean, especially as a literary artist?
Absolutely. Well, I'll first correct you. This one was a paid workshop, but we do Saturday workshops that are free, and it was so much fun to teach them. It was a great experience. And being the artist in residence, I don't know, it's just an opportunity to reach out to the community, to do these types of workshops, to work on my own art, which is writing. Yeah, it's just so many different little branches of community within this opportunity.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, like artists in residence is a chance for you to sort of connect with the community, but also to work on some of your own personal stuff in that period of time. And it's so you're here obviously outside the workshops doing a memoir, and so could give us a sense of what that memoir is and what it means to you.
Yeah, the memoir pretty much means everything to me right now. It's a memoir currently titled Rebirth, and it's about my experiences with infertility. My husband and I went through a very long process, almost 6 years from the moment when we decided that we wanted to have a family until my son was born. And there was a lot of loss, there was a lot of treatments, medical treatments that we went through. I had surgeries, it was just a very long process. And so right now, the memoir that I'm working on examines those experiences, looks at the triumphs, looks at the victories, sort of turns it into a story that is essentially embedded in hope, and I'm doing it. Certainly there's a little element of healing for myself because I'm having the opportunity to go through the story again as I write it down, where I'm not so much in my own head. But there's also a large element of reaching out to the other people who've gone through this or who are having similar experiences now. And I just think that there's not enough voice around this subject matter. I think that it's still considered a really taboo topic. People don't discuss it, and I just think that there's not going to be healing around that. It's very widespread, and I just would like to be able to be a contributing voice to that type of advocacy for awareness that this is prevalent.
Yeah, and for you and I had the privilege of seeing it one of the readings. I wasn't there to see your reading because there's a lot of good readers, and you were one on the list. And I think in Lee Square, even there, I think that was over a year ago, and I know you had some rough draft there, and it was the crowd was obviously affected by it. But even for yourself, when you're up there, you're kind of like warming up to this kind of like, I'm about to go back to some very dark places.
Yes.
And I know as a writer, they say that, to kind of, you have to go to those dark places, but I think it definitely came from the heart when you were speaking, and the crowd at the end of it was sort of a bit quiet because it was almost like they needed you to sort of quietly compose yourself and get off the stage. And it's almost like as a male, it's sort of like a journey that I probably don't think about. As a woman, probably it's more something that they have to obviously work through if they have that sort of unfortunate thing happening to them.
Yeah, it's definitely an emotional experience. It's quite hard to go through. My husband, I was fortunate, he was a real rock for me, but he certainly went through his own emotions with it, and he's become a real touchstone for a lot of other males who are going through similar circumstances because he was so open with the story. And like I say, not just myself, but him also, both of us have tried to be very open about what we've gone through, me through my writing and both of us through just communicating to people what has happened. And with him, it's just speaking to the male perspective, not on behalf of the male perspective, but to the male perspective. He's found that he's had a lot of people come to him because, again, it's taboo and maybe more so for men because they have I don't know, there's just not as much openness, and there's not a lot of openness even with women, but there's not as much openness, I think, for men. And so he's had an opportunity to help people by being there to discuss it and lend a hand or advice or whatever. And for myself, with the emotional part you mentioned in the reading, I know that I've had a lot of readings where there's a lot of emotion in my writing, and I don't remember the quote, but someone said that if you don't have tears yourself when you're writing, you're not going to bring your readers to tears. And obviously, I want my experiences to reach the universal platform. So
Yeah, you saw a bunch of people, kind of waving their hands, and I'm like, I got to go somewhere else for a few minutes.
Yeah.
But I think that's also the power. Like, you're the second artist, writer in residence that we have, and some people may be surprised in Port Coquitlam, even the Tri-Cities in general. Like, you think writers, that they're in Vancouver, but whether it's economic in the sense that people are moving out this way because they can't afford to live in Vancouver anymore. But I know when we had some writing events, in town, like Western Sky Books. You're a fan of that. They do their poetry reading. So now we're seeing, I guess, even the galas. They had their own, own writing workshop. So what do you think you should tell those folks out there, or you feel the writing community is like in Port Coquitlam or the Tri-Cities?
You're not alone.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing I would say. Yeah. You mentioned the last artist in residence who was a literary artist. That was Nikki Hillman. She's great. And I know that I feel extremely fortunate that I've had the opportunity to do this. I've worked with Tamara at Western Sky, and she's amazing. I do reviews for her. Nikki and I actually co-facilitate a writers group that's out here, so there are resources out there. Western Sky runs reading events, and currently they have a couple events coming up with a group that was created by two people out of the Writers Studio, Lynn and Christina, and their group is called Words in the Burbs, and they have a couple of readings that they're doing out of Western Sky. So there are so many different opportunities for writers, and it may feel very isolating because writing is at its nature a very isolating act, but I think for me, how I've sort of started to come into my own a little bit over the last year to year and a half is because I have started finally to reach out to the community opportunities that there are, and I've started to sort of find the people that are out there that are doing the same thing and that are very willing to support me in my own endeavors.
Yeah, so, and I guess for that, in that sense, when you go to these sessions, and I know you do the drop-in stuff, like, what is it like to be an artist, a literary artist today? I mean, you're not alone, you said that for sure, but it's not like I have a story, I'm going to write it. It's a journey. It's an art where you need friends. Friends who can give you good advice and sort of at the same time not kill your emotional ego. Or your confidence. So what is it? What is the importance of just, when do you know you've made it? That would be the question. Like, or what do you think is going to happen? You're going to go, I've made it.
Probably never. I think that's rare. I think that's very rare. I think that most people out there are writing for themselves, or they're writing for like the healing that I'm sort of going through, or they're writing because they have something to say that's important. And it doesn't necessarily matter how many people hear that or how many people are reached, how many people even that they're sharing it with sometimes. Sometimes people can write entire books and it literally never leaves their computer or their notebook. It doesn't go anywhere. And that's fine, because that might be that particular artist's process. How do you know when you've reached that pinnacle, when you're happy with what you're doing? I think is probably the right answer. I think it varies for everyone, and just keep going. Just don't stop. Find a way to write a little bit every day if you're able to, and on those days when you can't, don't beat yourself up. Just keep going. It
is a journey, and I don't think it ever ends. It's like but I want to thank you for coming into the studio for sure. For those folks who want to experience writing as an art, or you have youth that you think would benefit from this, Jennifer is going to be the artist in residence for the next 3 months, so it's going to be really great to have that experience. Even if you just come by and actually just talk about your desires to be a writer yourself. We've just heard there's a great community in the Tri-Cities, especially in Port Coquitlam. So go check out one of these drop-ins. Jennifer will be there. I know that's the second and fourth Thursday at between 7 and 9 or something.
6:30 to 8 at the Gathering Place in Port Coquitlam Lee Square, and it's every second and fourth Thursday of the month. Yes.
Perfect. So there you go. Yeah. There's no reason not to come in and see Jennifer for sure. And if you're an artist, you can reach out to her for sure, and even that will be a new friend for you to find in our community. Again, this is Patrick McArthur reporting with Tri-Cities Community Television. I want to thank you for watching. And let's check out some more likes on our videos here and see if we can get some other literary artists in the house to come in. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So.